So last time in the comment section down below, you guys voted for me to talk about Harbleu playing ROADHOG, and here we are. Now, generally I feel like he is, in my personal opinion, my favorite ROADHOG to watch. I feel like he's very fun, very aggressive, just overall is quite good. With that said, if you'd like me to talk about any certain character in the future, please do comment their name and the character you want me to talk about in the comment section down below, and whoever gets the most upvotes or the most comments, I'll talk about next. Back to ROADHOG though. Initially what we saw, we're getting straight into the tips. Initially what we saw was that he was positioning to the right and actually positioning himself before the match to stop flankers. That's something that I don't really see way too many people doing, and he does it essentially every single match. Now, a lot of the times people don't bother to flank, but why not do it? I mean, if you can, why not? And it will, of course, help you in some situations where people are flanking and where that could really screw you up for the most part. Also right there at the very beginning, we saw him initially hooking the D.Va. And often when your team is, just kind of attacking the enemy, right here we see this again, kind of getting damage back and forth, what you can do as ROADHOG is just hook somebody at about half health and just one-shot them. If it's a D.Va, that's pretty nice. If it's another ROADHOG, that's pretty nice. But generally, during the poking wars, if you're ROADHOG and you go after people at low HP, mainly tanks that are very easy to hit and that aren't really even trying to dodge your hook, you can win those fights and you can give your team a huge upper hand. Also, a little bit ago, we did see that our ROADHOG jumped straight into the enemy backline for their ROADHOG, and generally just gonna say, don't be afraid to chase this character. I see just people standing in their backline, playing defensively, playing safe, and I feel like that's kind of what you had to do as the old ROADHOG. But now, since you have that escape, essentially, just going for your E and then running away, that's generally all you really need right now, and that'll help you actually live and deal a ton of damage and be able to get to your team fights and everything. So don't be afraid to go into the enemy backline, finish off a tank, and then get out, especially if you're right around a corner, as that's not way too unsafe for you anymore. At least do that unless the enemy team has a lot of CC. If they have a lot of CC, maybe you shouldn't really go for that quite as much. Now, when we're looking at his focus, we're seeing him go after the people in the back line, going after the Mercy, going after the Zen, anyone like that. One, he has a really good chance, and one, they're pretty much just off by their own. However, for the most part, we see him actually kind of focusing on the enemy tanks. You can put immense pressure on the enemy tanks, and if you can get more consistent damage out by yourself on the enemy tanks than like the entire enemy team on your tanks, then you will probably win that team fight. Unfortunately for us right there, we got one shot, but for the most part, we're taking out their tanks, and when the enemy tanks are down, well, our DPS essentially has free reign on the entire enemy team. So kind of think of it like that, and don't be afraid to focus the tanks, as you're a big tank shredder, and now you don't really do nearly as much damage, or I guess really just get nearly as much eliminations on squishies. You're a lot better for tanks, so just kind of, I guess, put that into your gameplay, and don't be afraid to spam a ton of damage into them, because it essentially is free. And as far as spamming damage goes, don't be afraid to spam your alternate fire all the time, just at the enemy backline, at the enemy tanks. Get free ult charge, get free damage out, make so that they can't come in. This is all really nice on defense. And of course, you can also take out shields really quickly, or maybe get some really dumb, cheeky kills, because that's what ROADHOG and his alternate fire is always known to be. We also saw a second ago him using his ultimate. Maybe it was more than a second, it was like 30 seconds. But generally, just don't be afraid to use your ultimate to finish kills. Your ultimate, while it's okay in team fights if you have like a Zarya with maybe an Ana or something, it's not that important of an ultimate. I wouldn't say it's one of the best ults in the game. I'd say it's generally kind of weak. I'll stop using generally because it keeps saying that word. But it is normally kind of weak and something that you should just use to finish off a few kills, or to even just push people off the objective, if it's a payload, a map, anything like that, and give your team the slight advantage. You don't really need to always get kills with it. You just have to kind of use it to force people back, or I guess let your team kind of go in. Right here we see him forcing people back, and you can also use it as a way to escape yourself, because it does push everyone away and gives you cover with your own bullets. So that's nice. When we're looking at who we want to target, I think it's pretty obvious for you. You want to first off target the Mercy, as we see right here, bopping that Mercy straight in the face. Right after that, try to target the DPS if we can get a lucky hook on them. But if we're not getting anything on any of those guys, just hit whoever is closest to you. It's just, you can spend a lot of time going to the enemy backline again and again trying to get kills, and sometimes it works like right here, but sometimes it just doesn't work that amazingly for you, and you should just instead go for whoever is closest to you. And especially against Mercy, if you keep trying to fight her, you keep trying to hook her, and you're wasting all your cooldowns and all your damage on her, just ignore her and go for whoever's closest. Probably your tank, and try to take him out and force the Mercy to actually come right next to you, and then save your hook to actually kill her right there. that can be what you can do if you can't really kill her just, by trying to hook her all the time or do whatever. Now, when we're looking at ROADHOG, he also can't really one-shot that much anymore, which a lot of people say isn't that great. But ROADHOG does have like a 52% win rate. He's still pretty good. So you kind of have to remember that he's not much of a one-shot carry anymore. He's more of a very high, consistent damage into the enemy backline and into the enemy frontline carry. So you don't really want to be going for a bajillion picks. You don't really want to try to kill yourself all the time, go 1-for-1. Instead, play kind of safe in front of most of your other tanks and get out a lot of damage on the enemy team. And yeah, you can generally outdamage a ton of other people. And why this works so well right now is, of course, your E. It makes this so much safer than what it used to be, being able to run away while healing yourself, while blocking half the damage. It makes so that you can play pretty safely while also playing pretty aggressively, and it's something that I personally feel like is one of my favorite parts about this character. It's something that makes him strong in this current meta, even though he's maybe not the best against Pharah and maybe not the absolute best against somebody like Junkrat. Now, talking about those characters, you would normally think that they do kind of hard counter this guy, and in some cases, I guess they do. Right here, of course, the enemy Pharah is on the ground, so we can kill her pretty easily, but if you can't get the hook on the Pharah, it's kind of hard to kill her. What you want to do, though, instead of just trying to focus on that Pharah and killing her, is to just kind of ignore her a little bit and go after the enemy front line. Again, if you can kill the enemy front line before the enemy Pharah can kill anyone on your team, then it's good. You can do a lot more damage than Pharah per second. Her DPS isn't that great. It's just that she's very safe, and she can sometimes get picks on your backline. But if you can get the picks faster and more efficiently, and if you can get your damage out faster and more efficiently, then you should be able to kind of out-trade her, or at least trade even, and you shouldn't really be losing fights way too much. Right there, we're fighting this Junkrat, which I feel like is a pretty good battle for you because he can't really one-shot you. You can out sustain a lot of his burst, and I'd say it's something that you can also kind of go for. I'd say maybe like Reaper's a bit more of a problem for you, and Tracer, if you can't hook the Tracer, it can be kind of hard. And as far as, when you are fighting people that are different sizes, like, a Junkrat or a Reaper or a Tracer, if they're slightly bigger, like maybe a Reaper or especially like a Diva or another Roadhog or anything like that. Oh, right here we see a great ult use, but doesn't really do much. It's still pretty good. But if you do see anyone like that, just shoot the enemy at the neck. If they're big, if they're fat, if they're a tank. While if they're very small, shoot them in the middle of their body and then go for a melee. Because generally they're gonna just run away before you can get the second shot in. So if you can shoot melee, maybe not even kill them, but just spook them away and get out a lot of damage, that's often good enough against the squishier characters. While if they are slightly bigger, if you can shoot them and hit them in the neck, which does, for the most part, kind of as a headshot on most of the fatter characters, that should also be very good for you. And that's just kind of who you want to focus, or not who you want to focus, that's how you want to focus different sizes of characters as this character, or at least that's how Harbleu really plays against these guys. I'm sorry, I keep butchering his name. I really like this guy, but I just could not say his name for the life of me. Anyways, right here we're seeing Reaper versus ROADHOG, and while it's not the best, while it's kind of hard for you to actually beat him, we see that you do have more sustain against him, especially if you just block all of his damage, and if you go in when he is going for that reload, you can kind of win and burst him down, go for those next shots, and win from there. And I guess finally to talk about this, we often see us playing on the side of team fights because it makes so that people can't really know that we're there, and it makes so a lot of people don't really try to dodge our damage or try to stand away from us, try to dodge our hooks. We could just walk in there, bot people, nobody's really waiting there for us, and nobody really knows that we're even there. And I guess finally, we often play around shields or around corners. Just don't give a ton of free ult charge. If you can go 1-for-1 and get a ton of damage out and charge your ult more than theirs, then that is worth it. But in other cases, yeah, just don't give a ton of free ult charge. There we saw him using his E to get around a corner and to essentially get where he wanted to without taking much damage. That's a really good thing to do. And we see that he's just super aggro compared to most Roadhogs. He goes in, he tries to get some picks, but he also realizes when it's not really going to work. He knows how to play around the map, the geometry of the map, where to back around, and we see that he went all the way up there by himself, and he still lived. So I guess that's something you might want to learn. I feel like a lot of the better players in this game are much more aggro than a lot of the average players, which I guess does become more risky, and you do have to be much better at the character to play that way. But if you put in a lot of time and practice, I feel like anyone really can kind of fit that play style after enough work. And yeah, that's kind of how it works for most top 500 players. Some of them play very, very defensively, but a lot of them, especially the characters that need to get picks like Tracer and ROADHOG and Genji, start to go a lot more offensive. So, that's nice. Right here is also kind of funny. We're actually playing the Roadhog as one of our DPS picks. So we have Reinhardt, Orisa, and Roadhog. This makes it that we can counter the enemy team spam really easily with the double shield. Plus, we still have the Roadhog to deal enough damage because, yeah, this Roadhog can deal that much damage. If you can get in close from all of your help from your other two tanks, then you can just keep supplying damage on the enemy team. Right there was a super good hook. I can't believe that hit. But yeah, you can just keep getting in your damage. You aren't going to die. You don't really have to waste too much time self-healing yourself. And yeah, maybe right here we could have gotten something with our ult, but we probably would have died, as you see right there, as we got bursted so quickly. So instead, we use our E, heal up, and then ult the people away from the point, and we get the point for free. So there we go again. You don't have to always just, you know, use your ult to try to get kills. We're finishing off with the enemy team right here. You know, they're walking up. We're down smashing. We're doing whatever we can. I think we got the enemy Mercy. Maybe not. No, she's still barely alive right here. Jump onto the Orisa. As we see, though, often when the enemy team is split up, you can just jump on the enemy backline, and here we go. We kill her super quickly. Much faster than most other DPS, except for Reaper. I feel like Reaper has a faster time to kill than Roadhog, but a lot of DPS Roadhog can kind of do better. So I guess you can kind of use him as a DPS character if you have a team that kind of knows what they're doing. And then we see right there, you can still get one-shots, mainly inside buildings. If you're inside of a building and there's a wall behind them, the opponent will be closer to you than normal, so you can one-shot them from right there and get in with a lot of free space. Yeah, that's kind of dumb and weird, but you can go for that, which is cool. It's a very cool thing. As we're getting close to the end right here, I'm just going to tell you guys, just go for like every single hook you see. It has like a 5-second cooldown. If you see a good hook and you see a good opportunity to go for one, just do it. And if you don't happen to hit it, just spam out your alt fire, wait a second, and go for it again. It's better to hit 1 out of every 5 hooks than just shoot 1 hook every 5 minutes. That's generally how that goes. And I feel like too many people save their hook for the perfect opportunity. For the most part, if you see a Mercy ulting, maybe you should save your hook for that. But in most other cases, just go when the opportunity comes for you. And as we're finishing it off right here, I think we're just, you know, plopping whoever we possibly can. Earlier on, they did have a Pharah, but now she's switched off. As far as the flying dudes, again, though, if they are trying to go for that type of strategy, which you can't really kill them that easily with, just ignore them and melt the enemy tanks. And as we finished off right here, you know, we finished off that Mei, we finished off that Reaper, all these stalling characters. Against Mei, as always, do save your hook her after she does go for that shift, and then finish her off. And we couldn't get the Mercy right there, but our enemy team, our own team, does finish off the enemy team. And here we go with the point. Worked out pretty well. We're aggressive. We're getting a nice push in. The contest is a little annoying as it's taking a while, but Roadhog can contest better than most people on the final push or on any of these maps because he has self-sustain, close range damage, and close range burst. So he's actually a pretty good character to play on 2 CP maps in my opinion, and we finally finish it off, take them all out, and win that game. I feel like overall Roadhog is a strong pick in this meta. He's very good after the buffs, and I feel like you can pick him in most maps. And if you can become good at the character and get good picks and mainly get out good overall DPS, you should be able to win the majority of your games. You just have to put in some effort with him. I don't feel like he's that much of a brain dead one. I feel like a lot of people are like, you know, there's these brain dead tanks. I don't think you can play in that way. Otherwise, you're just not going to apply way too much use for the rest of your team. But if you can play him well, if you can try to use any of these tips, then you might be able to win a few more games as him. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below who you want to see for the next video, and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind doing that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day. I'd like to thank Gilded.gg for sponsoring this video, and mainly helping me a lot through the adpocalypse. So, Gilded itself is a website focused on finding, founding, and expanding your gaming team with relative ease. You can schedule events, recruit new members, build team comps, and find teams to scrim with and to scrim against. Best of all to you guys, it's free. You can get started yourself with the link in the description below, and if you sign up by November 10th, you'll be entered into a chance to win a $50 Blizzard gift card. So, maybe I'll see you there.